Halloween Candy is a brilliant episode of Everybody Loves Raymond. As a Halloween fan, I was always going to like it at least a little bit, but I had a lot of fun with this one. This is the 6th episode of the 3rd season. It's directed by Steve Zuckerman. And as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. And it starts off with Debra and Ray in bed. Ray is pretending to be a flight attendant. And then Debra realises they're out of stuff. And they refer to stuff and things throughout this, obviously because they're trying to make it more family friendly. But they do say sex, I think at least once, to the point where it actually took me by surprise. I think it was towards the end of the episode. I apologise if it was earlier and I missed it, but certainly for the bulk of the episode, they're talking in code. So when Debra says sex at one point, it kind of threw me a little bit. And they're out of stuff. Ray doesn't like wearing things. And Debra suggests a little snip. And Ray said he'll think about it because Debra suggested they might have more sex if that was the case. And then we cut to Nemo's. We have people wearing Halloween costumes, which is quite nice. And Ray has met the guys very briefly. He happens to mention he's going to an appointment. They manage to get it out of him that he's getting a vasectomy. And just as he's about to leave, Robert tells him a story, a very brief story, about one of his colleagues who had a vasectomy and is now firing blanks. And Ray begins to worry about the potential side effects of the procedure. So he goes home, and I thought that an argument would break out. Maybe not a full-on fight, but I thought Debra would be kind of hurt that Ray was more interested in listening to the guys. But actually, to Debra's credit, she clearly realised that this is something Ray was concerned about and appreciated the lengths he went to, because he came home, said that there were risks with it, but he'd gone to the pharmacy and got a bag of things. Brightly coloured, rainbow-coloured things. And Debra was really proud of him, and he's now going to take charge of that. And I thought that was really sweet, and the moment played out completely differently to what I was expecting. And I really liked it. It's then time for trick-or-treating. The kids are, well, Ali's dressed as an angel, and the boys are dressed as little policemen. Frank then comes over dressed as Frankenstein's creature. Frank, I've only just realised. Yeah, I'm easily amused. Frankenstein's creature. And then Marie comes over, dressed as the bride of Frankenstein's creature, and I so badly wanted to put those as the thumbnail for this discussion, but I try and avoid spoilers in the thumbnails, or I try and avoid the things that are the most funny in the thumbnails, because I don't want to give it away until somebody knows that I'm discussing spoilers. But I absolutely loved their costumes, and Debra's dressed as a stewardess. She looks fine, and Frank is actually holding down the fort as Ray and Debra's while they take the kids trick-or-treating. Marie is doing the candy at her house, and I have to say, the parent who brings the kids trick-or-treating first, I don't agree with their attitude, because Frank opens the door to a bunch of kids who must have been about 5 or 6. They weren't like teeny-weeny 1- and 2-year-olds. And he did a menacing grr because he's Frankenstein's creature. And the mother says, "What's wrong with you scaring kids like that? If your kids are scared easily, don't take them trick-or-treating. If they're not old enough to understand what Halloween is about, in the commercial, fun trick-or-treating sense, not necessarily the deep-rooted sense, don't take them trick-or-treating because they will encounter people dressed up as scary creatures." And I found that to be ridiculous. So she really annoyed me. But Frank was an absolute delight giving out the candy, and unfortunately they ran through all of the candy really quickly. So he doesn't want to disappoint the kids. Frank was really brilliant in this. He knew it was all for the kids and really giving it his all, and I really, really admired him. And he went into the kitchen to try and find more candy, and the audience got to it much more quickly than I did. The audience kind of gasped before I realised what was happening. But Frank grabs the pharmacy bag and he hands out what he thought were chocolate coins. I'm very interested to know what that packaging looks like, because I've never seen things that could be mistaken for chocolate coins, but apparently that's the story we're going with. I thought, and I'm kind of glad this isn't where they went, but I thought Ray had maybe also bought some special little pills, and that's what Frank was giving out as candy, but they went with chocolate coins. Whatever, it works well for the story, I guess. And Robert then comes over once Ray and Debra are home, and he's had complaints about the house that's giving out these so-called chocolate coins. And Frank is confused until Robert whispers in his ear what the chocolate coins actually were. And there's this brilliant moment where Debra just has to turn her head because she just can't look at Frank. She is mortified. And in the next scene, she's busy phoning parents, apologising to the parents, and Ray has been running around the neighbourhood trying to find Dracula because he knows one kid as Dracula got a chocolate coin, and he got it. I feel like it would have been so much quicker to just go to a pharmacy. I feel like most places have an all-night or 24-hour pharmacy, or it's not even that late. It was only just about 9 o'clock. Anyway, I think he did the wrong thing, but nevertheless, he got his chocolate coin. And then it turns out it was a chocolate coin. An actual chocolate coin. And Ray is then desperate. The final scene is great. He is shouting out of the window at kids dressed as Casper, and I can't remember the others, but calling out for these kids by their costume names, trying to find a chocolate coin. Then Deborah's falling asleep, so he's frantically singing John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, and then going back to shouting out the window, and one of the kids throws toilet paper through the window. It's chaotic, and it was a really great end to a really funny episode. I had a lot of fun with this one. Halloween Candy is a brilliant narrative. The costumes are just fabulous. I would have liked a little bit more from Debra's. I just feel like it was a missed opportunity. But that being said, Marie and Frank definitely made up for that lack of interest in costume because they looked fantastic and the performances were really great. Not final scene, but I just wasn't expecting John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. Really brilliant episode. Halloween Candy is a lot of fun.